Thank you.
That's nice, man.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, if you come on while I'm over here sharpening my pencils. Sorry about that. Hey, hello friends. Thank you for joining me again today. This might be your second introduction of the day. My name is Dan, Daily Art Adventure number 676. Can you believe it? Finishing, I hope. I hope. Finishing Sidewalk Chess. I decided to name the painting. I'm fairly happy with how it's coming along. I'm going to try not to repeat my mistake of yesterday, and by having, no, it wasn't that bright yesterday, I promise. But I've turned down my light considerably. Boy, they make such a difference. Made the mistake of last night of having this light set at too high a setting, so that really cost me a lot of extra work this evening that it wouldn't have if I had caught that earlier. Be that as it may, I've more or less recovered from that issue, and as you can see, I'm fairly happy with how things are coming. I have just a lot of everything to do, just a little bit of everything everywhere. It's 8 o'clock here in North Carolina, and I wouldn't say that I'm, certainly not in the home stretch. I wouldn't really say that I see the light at the end of the tunnel even. It's, nah, I just have some work to do. I took a few minutes, as you can see, just a little while ago, and did a bunch of the red lights. I've had in my own mind from the beginning that there would be tail lights and traffic lights, stop lights in this scene, and just hadn't gotten around to doing it. And then realized, you know, I really need to get those going, because that's going to make such a difference in the overall cast of the painting. So there, I've done some of my red stuff, taillights and stoplights. Just touching them up once again. I want to get just the right balance, of course, of color, tone, warmth, you know, how light do they get in the middle, and so on. Okay, I'm going to leave that for now. I know there's another fairly large project ahead of me. Let me take you a minute while we still have light looking down the street. Let me show you the scene that I'm painting. Not quite this late in the evening. I'm trying to capture late afternoon. This is definitely twilight dusk, but still an attractive scene, as you can see there. But that's not the lighting I'm trying to capture. I started this painting last night, and I'm trying to keep the shadows cool, bluish, late afternoon, not purplish, suggesting later afternoon, evening, twilight. Oh, and I said that one of the things I haven't done yet is tackle these tree shapes, tree green, in a long time. I talked quite a bit yesterday, I believe. I think I did. Anyway, my paintings are starting to run together now. About green. Yeah, I think I did talk quite a bit last night about green and the dangers of green. You students, For the most part, I would almost recommend as students that you don't buy a tube of green paint. I've never pressed that with my students, but I might be getting closer to that. Don't buy green. Just do not buy green paint. Why? Because green is like riding a wild horse, and until you're really comfortable with an unbroken Bronco, you shouldn't buy green. And another way to put it is, when you buy a tube of green paint, then as soon as you have to paint something green, like grass, or in this case, trees, you're too likely to reach for your green paint. And that's really what I think is probably not a good impulse. Until you can learn to break this bucking bronco called green, force yourself to mix all your greens with blue, yellow. I mean, you can still, don't worry, don't worry. You're still getting plenty of trouble making your own greens, but at least you won't reach for a tube of green. I think most students would be helped. Again, I think most students would be helped generally by not having any green on their palette. They would keep them out of a little bit of trouble. Just by way of more explanation, I guess. Obviously this scene has a lot of trees in it, right? Duh. When I'm finished, so to speak, I want there to be sort of every imaginable shade of green, variation of green. I want hundreds, literally, I want hundreds of different flavors, subtle shades of green in this painting. There are a lot of trees here, and so it behooves me to, generally speaking, paint the trees greenish, right? I'm not going to be so abstract as to not paint them green. I have done that. Never mind, that's another story. We won't go there. So I'm going to paint these trees green. But one of the things that is going to happen is I hope that there will just be, you know, to mess with your head a little bit. I want purplish green, reddish green, pinkish green, bluish green, yellowish green, orangish green, and even a little bit of greenish green, believe it or not. But not much. Less of that than anything else. Less greenish green than, I'm playing with words here, of course, but less greenish green than anything else. More of all those other things. Bluish green, purplish green, brownish green, orange, reddish green. And again, you know good and well that I'm playing with language to even use such terms. How do you make a reddish green? It's easy. Take out some green paint and mix it with red paint. There. Green is a very dangerous color. So I am certainly trying to increase your respect or fear of the color green. Years and years ago, and I'm trying to remind myself again to post this on my YouTube community page, which means if you're subscribed to my channel, that you'll get a notification when I post this still, you know, this image. I have one page I put together several years ago that I called the 10 biggest mistakes made in landscape painting. And one of those, I'm going to try dressing this woman right here in green for some reason. One of those 10 biggest mistakes made in landscape painting one of the high ones was misuse of green. I can't remember the verbiage I used, but it was this, again, this idea. Green is a very dangerous color because it jumps out at you. By way of illustration, we see this truth, reality, scientific evidence of this. Green is a very dangerous color because, let me see if there are any on within, yeah, hang on, there is. Let me show you a sign for a moment. I mean, a literal sign. I don't mean I'm going to show you a sign from heaven. I'm going to show you, I want you to look at that sign right there. Do you see that pedestrian sign? Evidently, the people who are in charge of colors of signs believe that that warning is one of the most important. I see them all the way down the street, of course. Somebody somewhere thinks that that's one of the most urgent, important signs for drivers to see. Why? Because if a car runs into a pedestrian, there's very likely to be a very serious injury or fatality, right? Whereas if a car runs into another car, there's likely to be an insurance claim, right? So smart people go, ooh, we really don't want people getting hit by cars. So when we put up a pedestrian crossing sign, we're going to make it the most jarring, shocking, visible color there is. And there you go. What is the most jarring, shocking, visible color there is? The answer is chartreuse green. That sign that I just showed you is green. Some high-tech fire trucks. I mean, fire trucks are traditionally red, right? But that's just tradition. If the fire departments that have gone with science instead of tradition, what color are their fire trucks? Green, exactly. Chartreuse green, bright yellow green. That is the brightest color. Okay, while I'm on the subject this long, I'll continue just for a minute. If I could put you in a room with no light leaking into it, so I could control all the light in the room with a dimmer switch, and I had all the colors of the rainbow in front of you, and I took a dimmer switch and slowly dimmed the lights lower and lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. The last color, the last object to disappear from your sight would not be a white square, believe it or not. It would be a chartreuse square. I'm assuming there's all the different colors of the rainbow, you know, on squares in front of you, just, okay? The chartreuse green would be the last thing to disappear. So that's part of the evidence, if you will, not the reason, that's the evidence, proof to you that green is a very dangerous color because it jumps out at the viewer. It jumps forward toward the viewer. All right, I just have a lot of stuff to do. One of the things I just noticed is this tree, the closest tree to us right here, even this late at night, let alone earlier in the evening, has quite a bit of light on it. Right now I've got it all in silhouette. That is not appropriate, so let's take care of that. Now, anytime you've put that much of one color on your painting, then you know, in the opaque realm, if you put that much color on your painting, that means you better come back and do a slightly lighter color on top of that to break up the monotony. So that's what I'm doing right now. Slightly lighter tan, brown, whatever color that was. That's probably good enough down there. It almost doesn't matter where you put this slightly lighter color. Almost doesn't matter at all. It can be anywhere. But generally speaking, it's right on top of what you just what you just put down. Now, the next tree down, yeah, maybe just a slight hint, not nearly as much. A slight hint of grayish brown. I mentioned sometime recently, I can't remember where it was, which episode or what I was doing. In grade school, all children, so to speak, know that tree trunks are brown. We learned that in grade school. As an artist, you would be much, much better off setting your default tree trunk color at gray, okay? Set it at gray for default and then adjust accordingly, adjust after that. Get the grade school brown out of your mind. Out in the wild, many, many times, and of course depends on the light, many other things. Hello, Franz. Good to hear from you. Franz says, I recently saw your new avatar on your YouTube homepage holding one of your patented 3-foot-long brushes. For a hot minute, I thought that was actually a photo of Lawrence Welk holding his baton. That's hilarious. Thank you. So make your default trunk color gray and then adjust accordingly. I was going to say out in the wild many times, at least in our part of the world, a tree trunk is actually more green than anything else because it's got a lot of moss and lichens on it. And I'm still somewhat confused about which ones are moss and which ones are lichens. I remember watching a documentary a long time ago and they told me that most people confuse the two, and then I have been confused ever since. So I got the confusion part down, but I didn't get the the correction. So what color, anyway, what's moss and what's lichens? So anyway, just a little bit. In a minute here, in a few minutes, I think I want to do some broken color. So I'm not going to treat broken color tonight on this painting as a separate and distinct step. I'm still in what I would officially call the final edit layer, which used to be the final layer. Now I've got a couple steps after that, one of which is often broken color. But no, tonight I'm in the mood to do broken color here pretty soon. Just to tell you some of the things that are still on my punch list, higher or hotter accents of sparkle of highlights on all these cars. As you can see, the cars are a major element. Let me turn you again just for a minute, just for fun, are a major element in my subject matter. Now my lighting here tonight is no longer representational of my painting, right? But you can see, for instance, we can't even see the road, we can't even see the street between the cars parked on this side of the street and the cars parked on the other side of the street. Yet, in reality, between those two rows of cars are 2 lanes of traffic. And so like I'm seeing this car as being driving down the middle of the road. This car needs some definition. Anyway, but as you can see the ones parked, and you can see the ones parked across the street. So it's just a mass of cars is sort of the way I'm feeling about this. About this scene at the moment. I'm going to do a little bit of flesh tone before I go to broken color. And by the way, I am in my paintings. This is a holdover from my illustration training days. I mean, what I learned in being an illustrator, I'm pretty careful to be racially inclusive in my paintings, so that I have a variety of, when I say flesh tone, it's not always white people flesh tone, right? Like when I was a kid, this is kind of funny and kind of tragic. You know, it's one of those, oops. When we were a kid, we had a pencil in our Crayola pencil box called Flesh. Do you remember that? Some of you remember that. Any of you black people remember that? Well, the same thing with Band-Aids, right? What's wrong with Band-Aids? They're white people color. Whoops. You black people, bless your heart. That's what comes of being 13% of the population, right? That's what, technically, that's a minority, right? That's what we mean. You don't always get a fair shake. I will definitely admit that. Anyway, but as an illustrator doing commercial work, I had to be aware of it all the time. Now it comes pretty naturally to me because, as you know, I put down, throughout my painting process, I put down a color, and then I typically come back and do a lighter color on top of that. So think about it, that process sort of, if I have my wits about me, that automatically results in a racially obscure, is that the word? Image, so that people can't really look at my painting and say, oh, that person's black and that person's white, because they all kind of meld together somewhat. Although I do want this guy to be white and this guy to be black, and he needs to be a little bit darker. After having said all that, I do want to make that guy darker. But generally speaking, I'm usually aiming for ambiguity, racial ambiguity, generally, or racial variety, either one. All right, that was a strange detour. It really was. Are you good? Sorry, I know sometimes you're just getting a shot of the back of my head, like you were there. I really like this little, not little, I like this big awning here, really quite a bit. Okay, so all of that is too much the same color, right? Right? Are you with me? That means what? That means I need to mix up a slightly lighter version of that color and come and hit some bits of it with this lighter color. It almost doesn't matter where I put it, as long as it's on top of what I just put down. There does not need to be like a scientific balance, in my opinion. There just needs to be some lighter. And there. Now it looks like a painting. It doesn't look like color by number, paint by number. Do they even make those anymore, by the way? Probably somebody somewhere does. When I was a kid, you know, I remember those being around quite a bit. But I don't remember them for several decades now. Yeah, I'm probably not in the right store. I don't know what store it would be. Dollar General. If I were at home right now, I'd pick up one of my 5-inch wide blades for doing this stripe, this line. I do not have such a tool here, so I'll make do with a palette. Did you see my hand shaking there, by the way? That was a good example of the kind of thing, I'm right there as well. That's the kind of thing you want to encourage in your hand. There again. I was talking about that earlier. Maybe you weren't with me, so let me repeat it some. That shaking, there it is again. That shaking is, in fact, there it is again, is your hand trying to make you paint well, doggone it. And many of you are angry with your hand when it does that. You get all disgusted because you imagine that good painters like me, say for instance, thank you very much for putting me in that category, Because you think that good painters like me don't have that problem, that our hands are steady, because you suffer under the delusion, of course, that the path to good painting is paved by control. Okay, Sir Walter Apartments. SIRWALTERAPARTMENTS. There, did you like that? Let's go. I am not going to, these letters are not going to be legible, but I would like the Sir, S-I-R, I would like the breaks between the words to be in the right place. Does that make sense? That's as legible as that should be. Letters that size should certainly not be legible on a painting this on letters this size. Yes. Welcome back. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to move my camera for a minute.
Thank you, thank you.
There we go. All right, so again, lighter color. Now this, the fact that I'm doing my typical light, slightly lighter on top of the previous color is, in fact, in this case, is not simply a practice, it's actually representational. These are gold letters, brassy, reflective, metallic letters. So this is actually what makes something look metallic, of course, reflective, is the variation, you know, that it has hot spots in it. So there you go. I would be doing it even if it weren't, but by doing this, I'm making it look a little bit more realistic, that is to say, representational, because this is all metallic, you know, gold letter and gold trim on that. What do you call it? On the thing that's hanging out. You know, that thing that's hanging out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't bother me, I'm painting. Don't, and if you come here, and it's so ironic, isn't it? Because sometimes when I'm painting and talking to you guys, I have full command of a fairly wide vocabulary. I use big words and drive some of you crazy, perhaps, with my big words. And then other times I can't remember the simplest words. It just escapes me. Sheesh. It is not creeping Alzheimer's, I'm told. Because when it actually is creeping Alzheimer's, you don't really realize that you're forgetting those words. I hope that's true, because I am very aware of the fact that I'm forgetting words. All right, so I wanted to get that nailed down. I'm going to put you back where you were. Sorry about the earthquake. Now let's do some broken color. And just for fun, I'm going to start with some greens. All right, so I'm assuming there's somebody going to watch this who hasn't been with us before. We've discussed gold and listen to me. Where did the word golden come from? The human mind is a wonder, isn't it? We have discussed broken color before. The concept is same value. I want to put colors on this painting that match the value. Value is light dark, right? I want to put colors down that match the value of what's already there, but are a different color. So at the moment, I'll point at my palette just for a second. This is what I just mixed up. Kind of a dull teal, a pretty dull, muddy green. Now, you all know, of course, that mud has nothing to do with color. So the fact that it's muddy is not bad thing. So now I'm looking for parts, areas of the painting that are not green, not supposed to be green at all, but that are roughly this same value. Oh, there's a good shot right there. I nailed it. So this right at the moment, it has bits of purple in it, and the sidewalk, it has bits of blue and yellowish brown. So green is a perfect color. It's the value though that makes it perfect. Now, let me time out. I put green on this woman's shirt and didn't come back and do the lighter color. So I just did that. That was not broken color. That is broken value. Here's a car window that nope, it's too. Let me find a car window that has this value on it. I find it quite the little challenge, in a way, fun little test to get used to matching values. That's the challenge with this broken color thing. I'm going to add some yellow and some white to this green. So I just made it a little bit lighter green and a little bit brighter yellow. And I've got a bunch of stuff in here. The sides of these cars over here, there's a bunch of kind of purplish stuff. So it's good, but it's the right lightness, darkness, right? Lightness, darkness, value. It's the right lightness, darkness is childish language for value. I'm just trying to be clear. Now that stroke that I just put right there and right there, that is not broken color because that was just plain old painting. Same thing I'm doing here. I decided that those car windows would look good if they were greenish. Now here's a blue building that's just about the right value, the right lightness, darkness. So I'm gonna do a little bit of green here and there and here and there. Once again, I've got green on my brushes, a pale green. These are green trees back here. So I'm taking time out from broken color to do local color, to do real color. And I'm just confusing the heck out of everybody. So like if I take this dull green right here and start doing up here in the trees, this is not broken color. That's realistic color. That's roses are red, violets are blue. That's called local color. That's green trees. Why am I doing green up in the tree? Because trees are green. So that does not really qualify as exactly as broken color. But I can do it because that's what I've got on my brushes, and those trees needed a little green. Does that make sense? I'm going to just do one more thing. This guy sitting back here is kind of a dull purplish shirt on, so I just did this dull green. So does this person there. All right, I'm done with that. Now I'm going to pick up some phthalo blue. A little phthalo goes a long way, right? And now I've got this really nice, I would call it a perfect turquoise on my palette now. A perfect Southwest jewelry store by the side of the road turquoise. And this first mark I'm going to make is not broken color. So I'm cheating. I just saw that dark spot and said, that doesn't need broken color, that needs broken value. So now I'm looking for anything like this side of the table here. There, that's nice, that's nice. That was a broken color. The side of the bench down here. So it's the same value. Now let me, one of you guys, I don't know who it was, now forgive me, sent me a link several months ago. I don't remember if it was a TED Talk-ish kind of thing. I don't remember if it was a TED Talk or not, but it was something like that. It was a scientist talking. And I don't know if he used the term broken color, but he actually, this is broken color. The sides of these little stone benches are, at the moment, they're purple-ish, but they're the right value. So I just added turquoise to those benches. Got it? Ooh, that looks nice. Anyway, in this TED Talk, that's enough of that. Let's continue on around the color wheel. Let's go to blue now. So I just picked up a big, fairly decent slab of ultramarine. Now I have on my brushes a deep bluish aqua. And it's a little bit dark, so now I'm looking for things that are slightly darker. Anyway, on this scientific TED Talk-ish thing, okay, now hang on. Right now, that stroke right there is not broken color. So you understand? I'm going back and forth. That is broken value because it was quite dark, and I've just lightened it quite a bit. Just all of a sudden, intuitively, I went, ooh, this color would look great right there. Does that make sense? So now I'm doing broken color because I'm putting, well, that not so much, but I'm putting, it's matching, and now I'm going to do more not broken color with this blue color. I just putting blue jeans or pants on those two figures works real well. Let me try to be a good boy, and there, that's broken color. Let's go up here in the tree because there's a lot of this. I want some mid-tone areas. Okay, and I keep interrupting myself. So this guy was giving a lecture, and he explained scientifically why it is that this broken color phenomenon seems to create a shimmering effect. And I was very intrigued. Thank you, whoever sent that to me. I just realized I've been doing all that with no monitor. Hang on, just sorry. Technical craziness happening. Hang on. I hope I haven't ended this broadcast. I don't think I have. All right, we still going? All right. All right. Because it certainly is my experience that the broken color thing is new to me, like in the last year or two. I mean, I've heard of the concept for years, but I haven't actively pursued it until the last couple of years. So here's the scoop. He says there are two parts of our brain that are involved. Let me come back to that, Uncle 60. Thank you. Two parts of our brain are involved in seeing. I'm sure it's more than that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And, oh, here's a good place for this blue, right here on the shady side of this tree. One part of our brain, not one side, one part of our brain sees two colors close together if they're the same value, same lightness, darkness. One part of our brain sees that as one shape. But another part of our brain, two colors, different color, same value, another part of our brain sees those two as two shapes, two separate shapes. So the shimmer comes because from our toggling back and forth between the two parts of our brain. Isn't that clever? I don't know if that's true. That's some scientist guy. I can't prove it right or wrong, but it definitely confirms my experience that this broken color thing does it very much create a shimmering effect. Very pleasant in a painting. It doesn't work if you stare. You know, you sort of have to just look at the painting with a lazy eye, and you get this shimmering effect. Like, wait a minute, what just shimmered in front of me? Paintings don't shimmer. All right, that's enough blue. Let's go around to purple. Right, I started with green. It's an unusual place on the color wheel for me to start with broken color. But I typically, just so I don't have to clean brushes in between, I typically just go marching right around the color wheel. Primary and secondary colors, that's good enough. So I've got a medium purple, not too pungent, not too intense of a chroma, but intense enough. I have found personally, this is a little one of those tricks that if overdone could become a cheap trick. So I try to draw the line at cheap. But I have found that when I've got a medium purple on my brushes during the broken color phase, anything that's dark, I mean dark value, consider like the bench. Am I on the screen? Am I on? Yep, I am. I can put quite a bit of purple, even purple that is quite a bit lighter than what's actually there, but it still reads as dark. So honestly, right at the moment, I'm sort of cheating. Am I doing broken color? Am I doing, I don't know. Yeah, I think I am. I'm replacing some dark bits, especially parts of the painting that really don't need to be as dark as they are at the moment. They could be lighter. Replacing that dark stuff with purple. And whereas, okay, here, I've never said this before. I've said many times already tonight that green is a dangerous color, right? Because green is aggressive. It proceeds toward the viewer. The color green cheats, so to speak, and takes over some value function. Or to put it another way, even though the cones in your retina are responsible for discerning color, and the rods are responsible for discerning value, when it comes to green, the cones elbow the rods out of the way and said, "Get out of here, chump. I'm going to give some values cues." So green gets aggressive and comes toward you, all right? On the other hand, at the other end of the spectrum, purple, which is a color, does the opposite. Color recedes, it goes away. Purple is perceived as darker than it actually is. There you go, that's the truth. Purple, your eye perceives purple as darker than it actually is. So even though I'm putting a lot of purple right now on stuff that's dark, thereby you would think, violating the broken color principle, I'm actually still within the broken color. I know this from experience, because all this purple that I'm putting down, even though it's quite a bit lighter than what's there, our brain perceives it as dark. Will wonders never cease? There you go. So green is aggressive and comes toward you. Purple is recessive and goes away from you. I am going to actually clean my brushes a little bit now because I want to get a little bit cleaner. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm going around the color wheel, so I'm going to pick up some permanent rose mixed with that dull purple I had just a minute ago. So this is a fairly hot color, right? I mean, chroma, intense color. And where on earth can I put, and it's medium dark. Well, right here, this side of this little stone stool is pretty dark, as is this one. So I'm thinking I can get away with putting some, it's a dirty fuchsia, I would call it. Likewise, this tree. So I'm looking for fairly dark stuff right now. This guy's hair, yeah? Ooh, that was nice. Sometimes I put something down and go, oh man, that was great. I don't really know it's going to be great till I put it down, you understand? And I like what I did on his collar, but there was just too much of it. Aha, this guy's shirt over here, and it looks like at the moment he's wearing a sleeveless shirt. I'm not sure I'm going to keep that way, but I'm going to keep it that way for now. Where else can I put some dirty fuchsia? I know, this dark post. I don't need to paint the whole thing. Right now it sort of actually has some green in it. It's like very dark green and so on. So there, mixing red in that green, that was brilliant. Way to go, Dan, thanks. Thanks, man. Oh, lots of room for this. Lots of room for, lots of place for this dark fuchsia, dark. It's not quite maroon, it's a little bit too, in my opinion, what? I don't know. It's got too much permanent rose in it to be, too much purple in it to be maroon, I guess. By the way, when you are doing, here's another cheap trick. If you overdo it, it would be cheap. Maroon, burgundy, in this case, dirty fuchsia, is almost always looks great in trees. It's like the classic, if you will, and therefore you can slip into using it too often, overdoing it, but it works great in foliage. You know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to go around to red yet. I'm going to stay right where I am. I just added some titanium white. Wow, now I have a pale, I'm trying to think of a descriptor. Raspberry, dirty hot pink, sorry. And now starts something that I find very fascinating. Now I can actually do, so it's a light shade I've got on here right now. Now I can actually do broken color on top of broken color. And is that legal? The answer is heck yeah, of course that's legal. So just a few minutes ago, way at the beginning, I started with a fairly pale green, do you remember? When I started the broken color, I started with pale green. Now I'm finding this dirty fuchsia, if you will, is the perfect complement to the first green that I put down. So yeah, to answer your question, can you put broken color on top of broken color? And the answer is heck yeah. So you get layers and layers and layers of shimmer. What fun. Now this painting is not done. Usually I tend to save the broken color phase for later in the process. I'm sort of inserting it early here. I think it was because I was discerning that this painting just needed more color in it. And adding like sparkle is not going to add color. It'll add a very important value, but not a lot of color. So I just said, okay, well then let's go ahead and do broken color right now then. And I'm glad that I did. I think that was a good impulse. Every once in a while, you know, you ask yourself, so are my paintings better today? Are they better in this case? Did they improve? For me, did the broken color trick, introducing this new element into did it make my paintings better? And again, my answer is heck yes. Yes, yes, yes. My paintings are better for having this shimmer happening in them. I see lots of good chats over there, gang. I can't wait to get to them. I hope you're talking to each other as well as to me. All right, that's enough of that. I'm going to clean the brushes a little bit because I want to go to a fairly clean red at this point, I think. Now, between you and me, I have no idea where I'm going to put red. That seems a little bodacious, doesn't it? Yes, it does. In fact, so much so, forgive me just a minute here, I'm going to take a razor and scrape off my glass palette so that I have more room to mix, to be mad scientist, to mix more colors. You didn't hear that grunt or groan, did you? Picking up a brush that fell. All right, what color red? I'm going to go with real bright red for starters. Scarlet Lake. Maybe you've heard me say, oh, I'm going to mix some Naphthol Crimson. Those are my two reds, and because I have both of those on my palette, that keeps me away from needing cad red. Okay, I feel like I can achieve any red in the world I need without cadmium by using Naphthol Crimson and Scarlet Lake. All right, so I have a really intense red. Honestly, I don't know where I can put this. I'm living a little dangerously. Huh. That looks better than I thought. This is Dan being wild and crazy. This is Dan living dangerously. Can you see what I did? Let me zoom in there just for a second. So this part of the bench here, the slats in the bench, just that little area right there, and then that sign. And doggone if that doesn't look kind of cool. So I consider myself lucky. I don't consider myself smart enough to do something like that. I consider myself, whew. All right, that turned out not too bad. Well, let's not get carried away. Get a little bit of red on that. Up here in the tree, oh yeah, one of these branches, that'd be a great place. Oh my goodness, was that pretty. Oh my goodness. All right, so mark this down in your mental notebook. In a green, fully foliated, full leaf tree, making some of the branches red. In fact, now that I think about it, I think I should have learned that from Peter Fiore, F-I-O-R-E. Kind of famous for painting trees. In fact, I'm glad I remembered him, just because I'm teaching a couple tree classes coming up, and Peter would be a good. I'm collecting, famous tree painters, and Peter would be another one. And I think he does that trick. Again, all these tricks, if you honestly overdo them, they do.
Man. Keep it up.
Thank you. They do become sort of cheap tricks, and then you're in trouble. But nah, until then, just don't overdo it, but do it. I'm saying sort of to myself. Now this is what I'm doing right now is hardly broken color. I'm just adding more intense red to that awning. There's the word. All right. Where else? A bit there. Right there on this tree. All right, I am a little nervous about overdoing that, so I'm going to continue on around the color wheel to orange. I started with green, right? Oh, wait, I forgot pink. Hang on, stop the presses. Now, true confessions, in recent months, 6 months, maybe a year, I don't remember, I discovered, to my chagrin, that there was at least one color that I was avoiding. No, two colors that I avoid because I don't like them, and I think that's stupid. It's like you can't be a chef and not particularly like garlic or something. You know what I mean? That's just going to hamper you. So as an artist, I feel like it's very immature to say I don't like. In my case, it was pink. I don't like bubblegum pink. Well, at least that's what I said. And so I've been on this little bit of a silly quest, I'll admit it. A little bit of a silly quest to make sure that all of my paintings have at least some bubblegum pink in them. So that's what I've got on my brushes right now. And at the moment, I don't hardly even care if I don't hardly, sorry, grammar. Sorry, you grammar police, I'm driving you crazy right now. And I'm not really thinking about broken color. I'm just trying to satisfy my self-imposed discipline of using pink in my paintings. till I get over it, and I'm free to use pink without forcing myself to use it. The other color, there were two colors. One is pink and the other is...
That's good work, man.
Thank you, thank you. The other is hot aqua. I mean, by hot, I mean intense, high chroma, very, very intense aqua turquoise. Now, I've used some already, but it wasn't quite hot enough. So let me clean my brushes right away. I've got enough pink on the painting now to qualify. I know, believe me, you do not have to follow me. Although, yeah, I think if there's a color you don't like, yeah, first of all, just consider it a weakness. Don't say, I don't like whatever color. That's just stupid. So don't boast about the color you don't like. And if you do feel that way, then you better start. Anyway, I do think it's a good idea. All right, here's some company, I forget which company it is, makes this permanent green light, and it's one of the strangest permanent green lights I've ever seen. I love it. And this is straight out of the tube, no mixing. This is not broken color right now. That's broken values as well as broken color. Does that make sense? I'm taking a little quick break for my broken color routine to do Dan Nelson's weaknesses routine. Dan Nelson typically has not used over the years pink and has not used this intense turquoise, aqua, green, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to add some yellow to this. Let's see what I come up with. Green is dangerous. Right now I have nuclear powered green on my brushes. So talk about a dangerous color. I'm going to add some white to that. It's still plenty powerful. But these green marks that I made all over the place, those turquoise, aqua, they are reading very much, because they're so intense, they're reading very much as this. Here's what they look like. The artist dipped his brush in this bright green color, and then he put his brush here, 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 here. Done. Because that is exactly what happened. But that is not what you want people, you do not want people to look at your painting and discern, tell that that's what you did. Does that make sense? It is an uncomfortable experience. You know, if they're not an artist, they don't know why it's uncomfortable. It's our job as artists to know it's a redundancy, it's a monotony, it's boring. So I'm doing my principle of coming back on top of it. And I'm also going to come in here and blend them all just a little bit, or most of them, I don't know, all of them, because I got a little bit fastidious with those green marks, but it's an easy fix. All right. Yeah, that is looking nice. That green really added some pop to the painting. Good pop. The woman's wearing a green shirt, so having a little pop of bright green there is very appropriate. Okay, actually there's another color that I have traditionally avoided. Good, so there are three, I forgot. There are three. When I was talking about it, I forgot the third one. So they are pink, hot aqua, intense aqua turquoise, and bright light yellow, lemon yellow, Hansa yellow, cad yellow light. for many years, I didn't ever even put that out on my palette. I have now started, although that's contaminated. So this is Permanent Yellow Light by Lucas. And I'm just going to put a little bit right here, out of place. And I'm going to add a little bit of white to that. Now I'm going back to broken color here, I hope, for a minute. Okay, so very bright light yellow. Again, it's a color I have not used. I strongly prefer warm yellows, and this is a very cold yellow. Some of you, again, you don't know there can be such a thing as Uncle 60. We're going to have to stop meeting like this, my friend. Thank you. Uncle 60 has given me a what did you say? Watermelon ice cream. I love it. Thank you. Thank you indeed. Thank you. The rest of you, Uncle 60 is showing you how to do it. If you appreciate what I'm doing, show me a little love. Give me some super chat. Thank you, Horatio. I really do appreciate that. All right, now I do want to do some broken color with this intense yellow. So I am indeed looking for areas that are very light. Yeah, that's nice. That is not right there. It was already yellow, so that's not broken color. So I just want to be clear, right? But it looks good anyway. Well, it looks okay. Hang on. I have to do something to fix this little thing that's going on right here. Are we good in the... Thank you. About 3.5 hours last night, and about, so far, 3.5 hours tonight. So.
I was watching last night.
Were you? Cool.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I was sitting down with the lady caught on the
Good. Raleigh. Yeah, this is my hometown. So I paint downtown Raleigh a lot. Over the years, I've painted quite a lot. Yellow. Yes, so now I'm doing broken color and introducing that. All right. So I really went around the color wheel. I didn't do orange per se. Should I do orange? Yeah, I should. Let me go back and do some orange. Sorry. And then I went all the way around the color wheel, primary and secondary colors, and then actually took a little detour into pink and turquoise. Other than that, did right straight around the color wheel. So, but I missed orange, so I do think orange would be a good idea. That was not broken color. That was just color. That's broken color. When you match the value, but with a different color, that's broken color. That's what creates the shimmer that is so fascinating. There we go. That's nice. That's nice. Now, if I take this up into this tree, that's not broken color. Are you with me? Just want to be clear. And what happens, of course, is I get these colors on my brushes, like in this case, orange, and I see some good opportunities for putting orange elsewhere in the painting, but it's not following the pattern of broken color. It just looks good, period. That was broken color. Whoops, that was not, and it looks bad. Now I paint with a rag. All right, now let's, phew! Part of me says, thank God that's over. Let's clean these brushes. Now let's do some sparkle, quite literally. Really light highlights. Warm or cool? Warm. How many? I don't know. Time will tell. I'm making a decent pile of warm white. Yeah, I'll start with that. The street lights across the street never got their fair treatment. I have a tendency, a danger, a weakness of making these marks dotty, and then I get dotification. And that requires anti-dotification or de-dotification. Words that have been invented and only happen on this channel. If you're a regular, you've heard all about de-dotification. If you're not, welcome to the club. Welcome to the family. So I do have to be careful. My brain tends toward hard-edged little dots. For some reason, I find that level of abstraction fun. But I have learned that most other people do not like it the way that I do. And I'm not even sure that I like it. It's just a bad habit. But it goes back decades. I remember, I can think of some paintings I did in college. They were done entirely in dotification mode. Here's a trick. I don't know if you've seen this before. I use this a fair amount when I want something to glow. So this is separate from the glow layer per se. I put down a fairly thick slab of wet paint and then rub anything, in this case a dry brush through it. And then I applied, I don't know if you noticed, I applied a fresh daub of paint 4 times. And now I'm going to come back one last time, in fact, and apply it again. So that really creates quite the glow effect. I'm going to do that same trick in this other second most or most prominent. Okay, you ready? Here we go. So there's what I've got right now. I'm going to put down, in fact, 2 fairly thick blobs of paint. I want to use a different brush this time. Use one of my chip brushes, cheap chip brushes. So fairly firm. Let me do it again. See, rubbed it pretty hard. And I'm going to put fresh paint on those same 2 spots, pretty much. And I'm going to go down at the other angle with a fairly firm stroke. More fresh paint. Are you with me? I'm going to add a 3rd pile this time. And I'm going to go up and to the left. Whoa, I ran into the board, the stretcher board. That's not a pleasant mark. So I'll wipe that off. And then apply it for the 4th time. Again, you know, a fair, not a thin, and let's go up to the right. So as I'm creating not a hexagonal, but a 4-pronged star pattern, which 6 is too many. Real cameras, and that, in fact, right there, that may be in imitation of photography more than anything else. I'm not sure. Would a 17th century, 18th century person, you know, would they look at that and go, what? I sort of think, I think they would discern it, even though they had never seen it in photography. But all of us have seen it so often in photography, it's a dead ringer for glow, lens distortion. Is that right? Lens, lens refraction maybe is the word. Did the same thing but to a lesser degree up here. So there, nobody ever taught me that trick. I had to figure it out myself. But you know, is it legal to put paint down, smear it, and then put more paint down, smear, paint, smear? Then my answer is, heck yeah. Of course that's legal, so to speak. And you know I'm being facetious when I use the term legal. I mean beyond facetious. I don't know what the word is. Silly, dumb, maybe. I have this a large area of almost light up here. It's like it's trying to go light and I never quite let it. So heck, just let's let it go. As if the sun is really hitting. This would be a major, maybe the major area of sun hitting a building. And that is just about the right placement too, from earlier in the evening or late afternoon that the sun was coming, it's coming from over my left shoulder and was in fact hitting a building down the street down there. Whoops, dottification. So anti-dottification, this time executed by an index finger, I think will do the job. Yeah. Let me do something on top of this green. I like the green, but might be a little much. Likewise on top of this yellow. Let me go back to my original intent, which was some sparkle in some of these cars, some reflection, bits of light. You know, shiny cars. Even in the afternoon. They literally, shiny objects are just a mass of points of light. And I want to give that impression here. And every once in a while, somewhere in my painting, things get just a little too smooshy. And that's when I'm often likely to use a pencil to de-smooshify. That's carrying things a little too far, don't you think? De-smooshify the painting. That's what I use pencils for. It's a de-smooshification device. Dictionary, schmictionary. Never hampered me any. I like to pretend I live in the 15th century. You can make up words to your heart's delight. Probably even later, probably up into the 17th century, English people were doing that, making up words. You could spell it any way you wanted. Annette, good question. I'll get to that in just a minute. It's 9:15. I will, you know what, hang on here. I'm so close to finishing for the evening. I reserve the right, of course, to look at this painting with fresh eyes tomorrow morning and make any adjustments that I deem necessary. That's pretty standard operating procedure. That is the great benefit in, you know, not finishing a painting in one day, is that you in fact can do that. I'm sensing now that there's so much more light back here that the tree green that I had back here earlier can be pumped up quite a bit, lightened quite a bit. And yeah, there we go. That's nice. I had a dark box there. It's just not working. I'm gonna wipe it out finally. That dark box almost got wiped out a number of times before, right there, and I just finally did wipe it out. So my earlier impulse was probably the correct one. That green's nice. Some of that same color over here, I think, would be good. All right. I think I am going to wrap it up. I'm going to look at your comments, your chats, I mean. I won't bother signing in front of you here today.
No, you're fine. I always have to open it. Oh, yeah. Look, we're going right here. Literally, right next door.
De-smoochification. People who like rules no doubt loathe my broadcasts. They are among the thousands who do not watch the millions who do not watch my broadcasts. You wouldn't believe how many people do not watch my broadcast. It's an astounding number. Oh. You know what? Hang on. I'm going to paint with a rag a little bit. I've got too much energy happening, so I've got a finger inside. Too much energy happening on these secondary chess tables. Too many hard edges, too much texture. So I'm just painting with a finger, painting with a rag, finger and a rag. And just, there, I think that's better. Yeah, that's better. Too much energy, too much attention being drawn. All right, I'm going to say that's mostly finished. Reserve the right to look at it, of course, tomorrow, as I was saying. And maybe glaze it. That's always a possibility. Hey, Patricia, or Trisha, Trish, I mean. I think you go by Trish, the lady you, I'm telling everybody else now that the nice lady who bought my painting last night. I hope you're watching, and if you do, please leave a comment. There, you'd rather look at the painting than me, but let's go back and catch your chats. Thanks so much, you guys, for watching. Oh, my wife was on. Hey, sweetie, at 8 o'clock, and now it is 9:20, so I don't know if she's still with us. Probably not. Idris Bouchalouk. That's a new name. Is it Idris or Idris? Idris, Idris. Bouchalouk, I would guess. How am I doing? Am I close? Very good. Are you from Eastern Europe somewhere, I presume, right? And Idris or Idris? Idris. Could be Idris. Bouchalouk. Idris. I'm going to say Idris. Please correct me. Good to have you on board. Franz, I saw your chat earlier about Lawrence Welk holding his baton. That's hilarious. A 1 and a 2. It's so funny. Never mind. I'll ignore that story. I have too many stories competing in my head. Uncle 60, thank you for saying hello to everybody. Any lights? Oh, under the awning shining down. Ooh. How come you had to say that now? There weren't, and I don't know if you're even still with us, there weren't lights shining down, but there are now. And now that I've got this, I'm already committed to the color blue inside here, which I quite like. So yeah, I'm actually going to, make that slight suggestion. There, thank you, very nice. Yeah, nice little touch. Thanks for pointing that out. I'll put your name on the painting, along with mine. Thank you for greeting my wife, you all. Kenzo, new name, right? thanks for chatting. I'm learning so much with your stream. I never heard about this broken color thing. Good, thank you. I'm glad you caught it. Jolie Hernandez, haven't heard from you. I recognize your name, I believe, haven't heard from you in a while. Thank you for joining us tonight. Do you add a sealant once you're satisfied with the painting with the sealant to help preserve the color? Very good. Yes and no. Every painting should be varnished. The sealant you're talking about is picture varnish, and absolutely every painting should be varnished. Unfortunately, they say, whoever they is, the scientists say you're supposed to wait 6 months for an oil painting to cure before you varnish it. So I rarely have possession of a painting 6 months after it's done. But I do tell my buyers on a regular basis, so Trish, if you're listening, this needs to be varnished. You just walk into any art supply store, buy picture varnish, or get any local artist to do it. It's real simple. You just lay down the painting and brush it on. It's like water. Let it dry for a day and you're done. Nancy, my wife Nancy, says grandkids are going great. Just enjoyed some watermelon. Oh, good. Glad to hear it. They all miss me so much. I'm kidding. J.R. Nyheiser, good to have you back on board. Similar attitude with color. I don't like how some colors stand alone but interact so well with others. Got it. Right. So for me, when I discovered there were colors I didn't like, boy, I sure didn't. I did a lot of variant color there. I think I like it. If I don't like it, one of the solutions is a glaze to unify the palette. Any color. Any color. I could see doing a cool glaze and then a warm glaze, just like I did last night. Was it or this morning? I don't remember when I did it. But
We saw you yesterday when you starting off with just a whole bunch of lines.
Yeah,
What is
yeah,
that? I thought it was just abstract art, and then it come out today like, whoa.
that's right. So like this, there was a red mark right there.
Yep.
You could still barely see it.
Yes, sir. You see the green one down here in the wall.
Yep, exactly.
That's
Exactly.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Thank you.
Here.
So impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good night, sir.
Yeah, thank you. You too. All right, are we back? Let me make sure we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Let me get my monitor going. I had a power cord. Uh-oh, I'm gone. My power's gone. All right. Ooh, sorry about that, gang. Oh my goodness, my power cord had come unplugged and my phone died right in the middle of broadcast. Well, here's the finished painting, I think. Again, I touch it tomorrow. I signed it while we were gone. You know, I gotta tell you, one part of this painting that I am particularly tickled with is this little red on the bench there. That is meaningless as far as realism goes. It just looks really cool. I hope I think the same thing tomorrow. I think I will. Okay, I was looking at your chats. Yeah, David Mercer said, we lost you. Franz, good night. I know you probably guys are not back now, but I'll sign off anyway. Here, Fearful Milk says hello. Whoops, I'm about to lose my phone again. And at Nestor, I'm reading comments in reverse now. Hey, in your painting group, do you paint there or critique paintings? We do not paint there, we just critique. Good question. We do not paint. That would be fun, but it's never worked for us. All right, I think that's most of the chats. Thank you again for watching. Sorry about the technical issues. I hope to broadcast again tomorrow at home. Bye-bye.